Hi, welcome to Parents Gap Year, the podcast that celebrates
living to travel and travelling to live.
I'm Anne-Marie McCormack, filmmaker and radio presenter.
And I'm Rod Gray, videographer and photographer.
We're married.
To each other.
And as our children are young adults who've almost fled the nest, this year we're travelling around the world ourselves.
Lots of people say they'd like to do this, so we're having a go at showing you how it can be done, with some top tips along the way.
So this is our warts and all travel experience where we reveal our highs and lows, what we learn about each other,
and more importantly, the great characters that we meet along the way.
So the trail is 3,000 kilometers in length. It's basically a through hike from the north of the North Island to the south of the South Island.
Oh, I love this country. I have grown up with it, gotten used to it, but I can still appreciate the beauty of my own country.
People see the glowworms as different colours.
I saw them that sort of pale green.
I definitely saw it like ice blue.
Yeah.
New Zealand's South Island is next.
Known for its adventurous activities and breathtaking scenery. We've got Jude with us here, Vicky's son, who's been doing quite a lot of travelling recently and in the past, and I'm going to pick his brains a bit about we're heading into New Zealand. I've got my map in front of me, so we're going to go up to
Tekapo, yeah.
Tekapo, thank you, that's how it's pronounced.
Do you remember Tekapo?
Well, I actually more familiar, and we would pass this on the way up with Pukako, which is like, you can see it in the satellite image, it's really bright turquoise blue.
So I hear, yeah.
And when the sun's shining on it, you almost can't believe how bright iridescent blue it is. But also Tekapo, it's sort of a deeper blue, but it's also beautiful in its own way. Pukako is so turquoise as it has all this glacial silt, so it's really, really fine silt in it.
The lakes and the mountains will be the theme of this trip.
Yeah. What's your best memory of New Zealand?
Canterbury is just beautiful, and Otago. Down in the south, it would be around Kahurangi National Park, which is kind of north of the south, I suppose. There's kind of two sides to the South Island. Like on the one hand, you have this more kind of Scottish kind of looking environment on the east, because it's not as forest. It's sort of this open terrain, and then the coast is a rainforest, basically. Yeah. With these, jagged mountain peaks rising out from the ocean.
So where was Lord of the Rings mostly shot?
It's sort of all over, but one of them that's pretty near to some of these places, there's one near Queenstown, which is a little hard to get to. It's called the Earnslaw Burn. So you've got Mount Earnslaw with two sort of valleys on either side, and then the glacier has sculpted out this valley underneath the mountain, and you have all these waterfalls falling into the 20 different waterfalls falling from the glacier.
Did you do a trek there yourself?
I went nearby to there. It's sort of a bit of a mission to get there. Some people will fly in.
We'll plan to end up at Milford Sound, which is, everybody just says, you've got to go there. I know it's an obvious place to go, but it looks like, Nordic fjords. But there's wildlife and all sorts of stuff there. It'll definitely be quite a contrast from Australia.
Well, it's going to be a lot cooler.
Yeah. I have gone and bought a hoodie just the other day because I realised I didn't have any warm clothes. Because we were planning our trip around the sort of 25 degree centigrade mark to try and get that as a sweet spot, which we're happy to fluctuate either side. It's going to be a bit colder.
I'll just have to wear about 6 layers of the kind of clothes I've brought with me. 2 pairs of leggings at a time, basically, and I do have a jacket and about 3 scarves, so I think that'll be
We'll get some fine days along the way.
Are you going to visit Mount Cook?
Because we've got a couple of days up in this area, up around these lakes, so if we can drive up to there,
it's easy day trip from those towns.
Yeah.
Good, worth a visit. Mount Cook.
Definitely.
It's the highest peak, isn't it?
You can't guarantee that it won't be cloudy, of course.
No, of course not.
But I was lucky enough to see it, and it was clear and very windy, mind you. So you need to rug up, but it's stunning. Yeah.
Well, we'll keep an eye on the weather. We're up there for a couple of days, so we can choose the best bit. We're off.
The gondola.
Yeah, so we're on the Queenstown Skyline gondola, or cable car, for those who don't know what a gondola is. So it's like a ski lift. We're in like a big enclosed bubble.
Woo!
Up the mountains, up to Bob's Peak, I believe it's called, up the top. And we can look back at the lake, which I can't remember its name, Lake...
Wakataki Tuku.
Did you make that up?
Yeah, I did.
I'll look it up. But it's quite magnificent. So Queenstown's like a ski resort, summer and winter sort of activities. Lots of people mountain biking, and they go up the gondola with a mountain bike and cycle down. And in the winter is skiing. And the resort itself's very chic, very chic. Some designer sort of shops and funky bars and lots of independent restaurants. And it's pretty small, you can walk around it. It's nestled on the lake. Wow, with these jagged mountains behind that have got the first snow of winter on at the moment as well, which is like 2 months early apparently. Global warming.
There's an ice bar where you can freeze your ass off with loads of sculptures inside, really gorgeous shops, really amazing galleries.
Yeah, and then all the outdoor stuff, all the sort of tour shops, bike hire, boat trips.
Good hostels.
Loads of places to stay, yeah, and various cost and quality. It's not overbuilt. I mean, we're looking out the window now and it's just this little bit nestled here, isn't it? And then a little bit across the water there. But the rest of the lake, which is vast, I think it gets 30 miles long or something like that, is untouched.
I mean, there are people skydiving right over the lake at the moment. It's awesome.
And we went to a cool place yesterday called Ferg's. And Ferg has certainly sorted out, it's got prime location in town. I think it's quite well known, and there's a cocktail bar that we went to last night, which was lovely. And then next to that is the burger place, which people are queuing out the door all day long. And then next to that is the cafe, pie shop and sandwich shop, which is busy, bakery, which is busy all day long. And then next to that is the ice cream. Wow, this does look amazing. I appreciate for audio this doesn't translate what we're looking at, but we'll post some photos up. So.
Mountains literally around you, inlets like little islands attached to the landscape with the most beautiful colour water. It's sort of aquamarine, and then it stretches out into blue with these snow-capped mountains surrounding us.
The weather was good today. It's freezing cold yesterday. Oh, not allowed to say the C word, are we?
The cold word. Which I nearly said several times.
We are just landing now. Honest to goodness, what a stunning
we're going to
view.
have to get off, aren't we?
Yeah.
You're smiling.
I'm smiling because we've just, not only have we done the gondola, we were in a bit of a dark mood. You're in a bit of pain because we took the wrong track.
Yeah, my back's hurting after going for a walk up a steep track.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've talked about my back injury in the past, but anyway.
2 cortisone injections later. Anyway, you can function really well.
Yeah, walking up steep hill isn't great, but yeah, we took the wrong walking track. But anyway, enough of that.
The good thing is we decided to go for the luge, which is like a go-kart down a track. I've just done the first ride, so we've 2 more to go.
You were a scaredy cat at the top.
Always. That's me.
And then you were smiling by halfway down.
I know. As long as I don't lose control of the speed, I'm fine.
It's all in your own control, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's all set up really nicely, and you can get a ticket that includes the gondola and the go-karting, the luge,
yeah.
which is cheaper if you do it together. So if you're ever in Lake Lake.
I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look it up.
If ever you're in Lake Wakatipu.
Should we just get the name before we start?
Wakatipu.
I think you were right. And it looks over Lake Wakatipu.
You said it. Woohoo! And you're smiling.
Yeah.
Coming out of your mood.
Right, we're in a kitchen in quite a rundown-ish hostel.
This is more like sort of men behaving badly, sort of accommodation. And we've got a few badly behaved men. No, they're fine with us today.
Yes, we just were chatting with you this morning. So you are doing quite a mad thing. And tell me who you are first.
My name is Brandon.
Yeah?
My name is Arjuna.
And my name is Michael.
So, Michael, where are you from?
I'm from New Hampshire, from the United States.
I'm from Brisbane, Australia.
Prince Edward Island, Canada.
Right. And have you all come together for a trip together, or have you just met while you've been traveling in New Zealand?
We met on the trail.
Tell us about this trail. So I obviously, as a female who wouldn't do a trail in a million years, I'm sure there's loads of women.
You like
out there.
walking, but not hiking.
Exactly. So tell us about this trail and what is it?
So the trail is called the Te Araroa, and it's basically a through hike from the north of the North Island to the south of the South Island. So you can start in either Cape Reinga or in Bluff, which is the south.
Okay.
And it's 3,000 kilometers in length.
And you have to do it on foot.
I mean, you don't have to do it on foot, but...
I mean, rather than on a mountain bike.
No, so there's a separate one for people that choose to do it on a cycle. Yeah, that one's called the Tour a Te Araroa.
So you guys met while you were hiking, is that right?
Yeah, so I met Michael on the beach, at the 90 Mile Beach, on day number 2. And we have been together pretty well every single day since.
And how long's that been?
Coming up on 3.5 months now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I started November 22nd. And what day is it today?
Sometime middle of March.
Yeah, I think March 13th or something. So
for your entire trip, you were in New Zealand, whereas we took off at the end of November, and we've done Southeast Asia, Singapore, Australia, Tasmania, New Zealand. So we're doing it, the traditional way.
Yeah.
Planes, trains, boats.
Many boats.
Many boats, buses. Not much on foot.
You guys have been on foot most of the way. Let's have a look at your feet.
they're probably not as bad as you might
They are
think.
not bad.
Actually, I'm impressed. A couple of dodgy toetoenails.
They are all here in their bare feet, I have to say,
Yeah.
because you're probably not too keen to put your hiking boots on
No,
too soon.
Lord, no. Now, oftentimes you get a lot of dirt that kind of gets shoved under the nail, and that
You
looks
can't
pretty
get it.
manky.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, we've gotten quite lucky because, some people, they lose their toenails. That's a brutal one.
And what is that? Is it just from the hiking, or?
Yeah, I guess that's a combination of just like hiking a lot, and then also probably the shoes, like being too tight on the toes. Like you don't have enough room for your toes.
Downhill's the tough bit.
For
the toenails.
Wow. And go on. Well, what do you do if you've lost your toenail?
Yeah, just wrap it up and keep hiking. Keep it clean. Yeah.
Do you know, there is a part of me that goes, this is insane. Why would anybody put themselves through it? So I'd love to get into the psychology of why you guys would want to do something that's going to take months and months and months and cause you a lot of pain. Yeah. Okay. Go on. Tell me. Michael, you seem to be laughing there.
Yeah, well, this is actually my second through hike. So I've done the Appalachian Trail back in 2019. So I knew a little bit more what I was getting into. But I mean, it's really, there's nothing like it, especially when seeing like a country. You meet so many more locals, you feel so much less like a tourist. You meet like a lot of interesting people, like these two gentlemen here. You see a lot of the stuff that no one, when they come to visit a country, would see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the wildlife and stuff like that, because you're on foot. So.
Yeah, you do see a lot, but not so much on New Zealand, since there's really not much that.
A lot of birds.
Just
A lot of birds of prey is what I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, we have seen some deer, but mostly, farmed deer, they're looked after. But in Australia, we've just come from, obviously, we've seen so much wildlife. So have you been surprised not seeing so much compared to Australia?
Definitely, like doing hikes back in Australia, you always got an eye out for the snakes and everything, and then over here it's like completely different. It's very weird because you can just go straight through like tall grass and just not have to worry at all. So it's definitely different.
So you're not worried that things are going to eat you like in Australia?
No, like Australia, you always got your eye out. Something could be around the corner.
So what has been the most challenging thing for you guys?
Most challenging thing.
You're still getting on.
Yeah.
Still talking to
Yeah.
You two may as well be married now at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we're attached to the hip. I was talking to someone the other day, just about the whole thing, kind of up to this point. And me personally, I felt like I haven't had a bad day. You know, you have bad moments. I've had bad moments, you know, where you're going up a super steep hill and you're just like, you know, swearing under your breath, and 2 trekking poles, you're slamming them down really hard. You're really frustrated because, you know, it's been 3.5 months. But I would say the hardest thing in the trail is just saying goodbye to people, you know, saying goodbye to trail angels. I personally started the trail with a friend from back home. His name's Clay, Mystery Man, that's his trail name. And he booked his flight home, so he kind of set a hard date for himself. And I thought that I wasn't going to be able to hike with him anymore. But it turns out that we were kind of able to kind of match his pace and keep his daily average in check. But when we were in Lake Tekapo, we realized that, yeah, he had to kind of step it up a bit. So, yeah,
So he's gone on ahead.
Yeah. So that was a difficult day. That was probably the hardest day. Was not the day after, but maybe like a few days after, where you start to realize, like, being in someone's presence so often, you realize like that whole personality is just not in the group anymore, you know?
Arjuna, so when did you meet these 2 guys?
So I met these guys in Hamilton for the first time. So I started off solo and pretty much walked the first 19 days, like, to Auckland by myself. Like, I didn't really run into that many people. And then once I hit Hamilton, it was like, that's when I started meeting everyone and started to see a lot of hikers, and it became more of a social experience.
Yeah, what's it like to go solo for 19 days?
Well, personally, that was what I was looking for coming into the trip. I really wanted to travel solo and experience being on my own and be comfortable being by myself. And it was exactly what I wanted, and I was so happy for that experience. But it was definitely tough. Like, there were days where, you know, you just not feel like doing it. Like, no one's really keeping you in check but yourself. So it's like, felt like I had to fully rely on myself to keep going, keep pushing myself, which was great. Like, I feel like it definitely strengthened me mentally.
But after about 3 weeks, you felt you'd like some company?
Yeah. Well, that's when I just started running into people, and it was nice hiking with people for the day. But then it was like also trying to find people, like, I guess, that have the right pace as well, and that you want to spend a lot of time with as well. Because I think, well, for me, I want to be quite selective on who I want to hike with. If I'm going to hike with someone, because I set it up solo, I've got to kind of have a lot of the same values and like similar energy, and
because you want to have the same experience that you wanted to have.
Yeah.
Exactly. So collectively, you need to be all on the same page about what you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
Can I just go back to one thing you said about trail angels? What's a trail angel?
Okay, so this is personally one of my more favorite aspects about the whole kind of through hiking experience. So trail angel is a person or persons who live near the trail and provide accommodation services, maybe transportation services. Sometimes they don't even provide either of those. They'll just leave out, like there was at one point on the North Island, you come out of a pretty brutal hike, or trail rather, and there was just an esky, a cooler, just full of cold drinks, just bang, just laid out by somebody. You know, just a little sign there saying, take one, congratulations, you know, keep going, good on you.
Oh,
That's
is
great.
so good.
That's such a good thing, yeah.
But one thing that we've all noticed, and I'm sure many others have, is that while you may not get those epic views on a regular basis like you do on the South Island, on the North, you meet some amazing trail angels, you know, people that go above and beyond to make you feel like you're being watched over and taken care of. And it is like truly an amazing experience in that way.
Does it only happen in New Zealand, or is
No,
this is a thing? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty common on all the through hiking trails.
Cool. Oh, that's really nice. A really nice human trait.
I mean, some of them have a little more of a hands-off approach, in the sense that, you know, you let them know you're coming. They say, cool, this is my address. Like, you know, pitch your tent, you know, use my back deck, blah, blah, blah. Some people that we've met are like, here's my number, contact me. Here's a code word, like just send me that message and I'll come get you, or you can fly to me and I'll take care of you. Like I'll drop what I'm doing. Yeah, truly amazing stuff. Truly amazing stuff.
So why do you think they do that?
It kind of depends. I know for some people, they've had like experiences with the trail. They've had like sons or daughters, or they themselves have hiked it, so they're kind of giving back to the community. Other people, it's something to keep themselves busy. A lot of like retirees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of them say they receive as much as they give, which I'm not sure how that's true.
They hear your stories and probably reminisce from when they did it.
I have a theory as well. They take peace in knowing that if their son or daughter was out on the trail up against the elements, that they would hope that there's someone doing what they're doing for their children. So, they're happy to provide those.
Most common is either people right out of high school or college that have the time, or people that are suffering like midlife crisis and they don't have a job or something to go to, or just people who are retired.
It's an all-age rager.
And is it mostly guys who do it?
No. It's a pretty even split.
Yeah.
So was anybody querying what you were about to do?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess because before this I had only done like 2 overnight hikes kind of. So it was kind of like definitely like a massive step out of the comfort zone. And, Mum's questioning like, like maybe you should do some more smaller hikes first. But then like once they knew how excited I was for it, they were like fully supportive. At this stage of life with the lack of commitments at the moment and the freedom. So
I know we're envious of you yowies going, oh my God, you can just take time and do what you like. And I look back and think I wish I had done a lot more of that when I was younger.
I did quite a lot of travel in my 20s and a bit of 30s, and quite a lot of travel with work as well. But I'm just envious of the time ahead that you've got.
So has it made you much stronger physically, would you say?
Oh yeah, I feel like I could cut steel with my legs now. But as far as the upper body goes, not really.
Carrying a pack, presumably, are you? And that's a fairly weight, 20 kilos or something you got on your back?
Probably not 20. Probably more like an honest 4 or 5 days food, maybe a liter of water, because here in New Zealand, water is so plentiful.
If you were to advise anybody who's thinking of doing this trail, what would you say are the top tips?
Do a lot of research, for starters. Really put a lot of thought and consideration into your kit. Try to sacrifice your luxury items, try and really cut down and make that kit as small as it has to be. Make sure you're prepared, make sure you have the essentials, but don't bring a first aid kit that's, the size of a briefcase or something. And sometimes you may not end up with your group at the end of the night or something, so definitely want to be self-sufficient. Yeah, you want your sleep, your shelter, and your cooking system, I guess. It's a goofy terminology, but everything's a system. I think to complete it, you need to want it bad, And you also need to acknowledge that there's nothing wrong with calling it early and just ending it if you're not having fun, just to be okay with that. It's a long, long journey.
For this trail, definitely trail runners instead of hiking.
Yeah.
No Gore-Tex for shoes because your feet are always getting wet. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of trail runners instead of hiking boots. Hiking boots, they're heavy. They get wet. They take forever to dry.
So have any of you had any injuries?
Yeah, I had a bit first week. I had something in my foot, just like real sore. I think that was just from the beach, walking on the beach for like 4 days straight. You kind of push through it.
So tell me how many kilometres you've done and how many more you've got left.
So we've done 2,700 kilometres and we have just over 300 kilometres to go.
Oh my goodness.
And you're heading south, so you're heading to the Fiordlands.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Arjuna here
That's dramatic.
has also done pretty well every inch. He's done a continuous footpath. He's what we call a purist. Whereas Michael and I, we've gotten to some road sections and have decided to just stick the thumb out. A lot of people do hitchhike certain sections because there's a lot of road on the North Island. Arjuna has done a continuous footpath.
Wow, well done, Arjuna. Are you the youngest of the three?
I believe so. Yeah, just younger. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got that dogged determination.
Absolutely.
You lose it as you get older.
Amazing scenario that you're going through.
Best of luck with your ongoing 300 kilometres.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wow. So we're in Milford Sound, which is this huge, great fjord that's been carved out by the glaciers a long time ago, right down on the south coast of the South Island in New Zealand. And it's got these trees growing up it, ancient beech trees.
Indigenous trees.
Indigenous, yes, to New Zealand. So they stay green throughout the year, unlike British beech trees, which change colour throughout the year.
There's also a real movement against the pine trees that were planted after the felling of a lot of the indigenous trees from the mountains, which you just see are bare. But because this is a national park, it's covered in greenery and all the way up to the massive Alps on the top.
Yeah, from the waterline all the way to the top of these peaks, probably 2 kilometres high, some of them. It's amazing, and they're sheer. I mean, they're really steep. Don't know how the trees stay on. And there's a lot of ferns in there as well. And the drive here was quite spectacular, up and down. Again, full of these ancient woodlands. It's truly breathtaking. We're lucky. It's a sunny day today, and the wind's not too bad compared to yesterday. And it's been quite calm.
It has, and apparently it's always better to see it after the rain. I think it's because the waterfalls are fuller then, but just as we speak, there is a plane driving between the gorge, basically, or the fjords. They don't always run because obviously the wind can be dangerous, and we do know one of the tourists we met whose helicopter flight was cancelled, which she was very disappointed about.
Just say we did see some dolphins and some fur seals as well, so a bonus today. Bit of nature.
Oh, the seals were just literally hanging out on the rock.
Yeah, sunbathing on the rocks.
Sunbathing. So as a trip, it's a 2-hour boat ride, quite a big boat, lots of tourists, as you might be able to hear in the background, and definitely worth it. You shopped around and managed to get a very good deal the night before.
About $100 each the night before, so about £50.
Yeah.
Quite a wow if you like natural kind of landscape and national park.
This time we'll be pulling up alongside the Underwater Observatory or Discovery Centre today. We'll just be here to do a pickup and then we'll continue on with our journey, so please remain on board.
I'm not planning to go over, to be honest. Mind you, those dolphins look very, very inviting. I think, what I've learned is if you sacrifice sometimes eating out and doing the things you might like to do, it's definitely worth spending that money on activities because they're the experiences that you remember. You might not remember that dinner, but you certainly will remember this experience.
Well, yeah, like we stayed in a little bunk hut in a campsite to save some money the last couple of days.
I know, and I have another one ahead of me and no toilet, and, for a bit of a walk. Okay, that's just to give you an idea of the kind of howling gale that's going on and the rain outside our little cabin. Now, it is 1 o'clock in the morning. Rod, stop making
1 in the morning.
I have had a glass of wine and a bit of fizzy water. So I've had my last wee of the evening, she says. Hopefully. No way. I know my body. This ain't gonna happen. No doubt, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna wake up busting for a wee. And the toilet block is actually a good 4-minute walk from our...
Well, you could run there quicker.
I am not doing it. So I am really seriously eyeing up the bin in the corner of the room. It's freezing outside. Honestly, I am not that brave. I'm just praying I can just
Tie a knot in it.
Tie a knot. Well, in your case, it'd be tying a knot in it. I just literally have to keep my breath held and cross my legs. I have great fear. Tonight is going to be a bit of a disaster. But my trainers are going to be by the bed, and I'm going to put my recorder by the bed, because if I do wake up, and Rod, you're in another bed, so that's okay. I won't disturb you. You'll either hear two sounds: the door opening and me swearing very loudly, or you're going to hear the lovely sound of a trickle in the bin. Yeah, it's that bad. I don't think I've ever had a night where I'm dreading going to the loo in the middle of the night. I'm just not going to do it. I'll keep you posted, is all I'm saying.
So it's dawn. I'm exhausted. I held off all night going to the loos. I managed to avoid the bin. I'm outside on my route to the loo. Thankfully it's not raining. It's going to be a nice day. And I spent half the night awake worrying about getting up and needing the loo, just because I wasn't brave enough to get out into the cold, the wet and the rain. So I'm walking still, so it's a bit of a trek. I've got my trainers on. You can hear it's windy. Anyway, still not at the loo. Yesterday I walked into the men's, so I'm going to avoid that now. It's probably about 5 or 6. Anyway, and here's the ladies' toilets. I'm not going to record this, obviously, but just letting you know I survived the night, but haven't had much sleep over this toilet situation. Okay, that was a massive relief. I'm outside again and on my walk back. Fun, fun, fun. At least this morning I can go back to bed and sleep till as late as I want, because ultimately we're spending 2 nights here as opposed to 1, so we don't have to get up at 10 in the morning, or as in leave at 10 in the morning, not get up. Most places in New Zealand ask you to leave at 10, which I think is slightly unreasonably early when you're trying to pack up and everything. But anyway, I've been living out of the suitcase, so haven't unpacked. And we've just been spending a night in different places. And this is the only place we're spending 2 nights. And the only place with the loos away from the hut. Back at my hut, and Rod is asleep. No sign of him getting up at dawn. Anyway, here we go.
We're on Lake Te One of those, or pronounced slightly different. We'll go with that. We'll go with that, yeah.
This is becoming an ongoing...
Yeah, our pronunciation is varied.
Questionable.
We're on one of the lakes in the Fiordlands, in southern South Island of New Zealand. To something very exciting, aren't we, Anne-Marie? It's going to be high adrenaline, because New Zealand's known for its high adrenaline activities. So we are off to...
see some glowworms in a cave. And we're very excited because it will be dark by the time we get to the glowworms. The boat has just taken off.
Welcome aboard the Luminosa, everybody. My name's Thomas. I'm going to be your crew for today.
Here's Thomas.
Thomas Milenbrook.
And you
I work with Real NZ, and I'm a crew member on the boat. I'm also a nature guide over at the Te Araroa Glowworm Caves. Oh, I love this country. It is very beautiful still. I have grown up with it, gotten used to it, but I can still appreciate the beauty. The saying that I've always heard is just it's 4 seasons in one day. That is a thing that happens here. 1 minute it will be raining, next minute it will be sunshine, and then next it'll be windy as. It's just can't really tell some days.
Okay, we're getting on a little boat inside the cave. There's lots of glowworms ahead of us. It's very noisy here, as you can hear. But that's because there's a waterfall close by. And we're about to go down the river. Okay, so we're out.
Yeah, that was quite magical, just walking away from it through this amazing bit of prehistoric forest. But inside, for the full experience, there's no photographing, no videoing and no recording, and at times no talking, which obviously made explaining what was going on slightly harder for us. And we got on a boat at the very end and drifted really quietly and gently around the cave with all the glowworms above us, glowing like little blue LED pinpoints of light.
It was like a constellation of stars, actually.
Yeah, and it became like that. I felt like I was sort of floating and stargazing, because you're floating on this boat, so it's quite surreal. Completely dark. I knew you were there only because I could feel you, couldn't see you.
Well, we were holding hands because we were on this boat with quite a lot of gushing water beneath us, but the sound, what was really interesting, we went from this really loud waterfall sound to this incredibly, as we went deeper into the cave where most of the glowworms were glowing, it got quieter and quieter and quieter.
And I'm glad they made it so it's quiet, because everybody would be going, ooh, look at that,
or
look at
snap,
that.
snap, snap, or whatever.
Yeah, getting your phones out would ruin
Exactly. So it was really magical. It was kind of, the boat was from time to time buffering against the rock face, which we were warned about. So a few times you get a little thump. But that was fine. Once you're warned, it's fine. I did jump at one point. But I also, given I've just taken a travel sickness tablet, I did feel a bit queasy myself because you're looking
probably
up.
the disorientation, isn't it? You're looking up and you have a floating sort of feeling. It was like stargazing, really, but nature, innit? Ain't nature amazing?
Do you know, that's the whole thing about this trip, that I have to say, the more in nature you are, the more happy you feel.
Quite magical, that bit of nature. Yeah,
yes,
certainly.
That nature creates glow for its survival. Yeah. And they have these little threads that they surround themselves with, a bit like a spider's web.
Yeah, sticky sort of threads.
And they catch bugs, and that's how they feed. And then they turn into a pupa, and they fly off. And they live for about 11 months.
Yeah, they come out of the pupa into a fly, and then they mate, and then they fly away.
And they probably
get
eaten by
the birds the moment they get outside.
Exactly. So life ain't too good for them.
They stay in the cave. Stay in the cave, glowing.
So we're back on the boat.
What was quite interesting was that people see the glowworms as different colours. Yeah, I saw them as a blue sort of little light, but you saw them as a different colour.
I saw them like, you know, the way you put those luminescent stars on your ceiling as a child.
Okay, yeah.
I saw them that sort of pale green.
Right, I definitely saw it like a ice blue.
Yeah.
Colour. And other people see them as white, I think they were saying. Yeah. It's interesting how our eyes and our brain sees colour differently, but in such a clear way as that. But what is false advertising is they're not worms. They're glow maggots.
They're maggots. They just told us not to mention that.
Doesn't sound quite so sexy though, does it?
And the reason they're maggots is because they turn into flies, whereas worms stay as worms.
And the glowworms eat each other from time to time as well.
When they get hungry.
Yeah.
And some of them separate themselves. Most of them cluster together. But then you get the odd bods who go, right, I'm out of here because I don't trust the rest of you because you're going to eat me. We're off to Indonesia during Ramadan, where we cross over with our son Sam.
And go in search of giant turtles.
Honestly, Sam knows how I feel about tattoos.
He's taking his shirt off.
Oh my God, it's huge.
It's not little.
Woman's money is belong to her, and husband money belong to women.
Okay.
Because we are special.
So you are definitely the naughty boy. You're from Lombok as well?
No, from Jamaica.
This podcast has been created and edited by Anne-Marie McCormack with her collaborator and co-traveller Rod Gray. Music is by Serge Guidoado and Segvari, with the sound mix by Gary McIntyre. If you'd like to see pictures and videos of the places we've been to and the people we've met, please go to the Parents Gap Year Instagram page. And if you've enjoyed the podcast, please follow and share it. Thanks so much for listening.